Now, we're talking about capital budgeting here. And two of the common techniques we use in capital budgeting is net present value and internal rate of return. And usually what we see is that the one with the greatest net present value will also have the greatest rate of return relative to the cost of capital, and it kind of clears to what we have to do. However, when you do capital budgeting, you need to understand now, there's what are called scale effects and timing effects that can impact on these two techniques. And it brings about what's known as a conflicting signal. Net present value will tell you to do one thing, rate of return will tell you to do something different. And the question, of course, is, do I base my decision on net present value, or do I base it on internal rate of return? So I'm going to bring you through an example here on how you do that and how you make the choice as to between the assets when you have conflicting signals. Now, we have two projects here, and I've given you the initial investment, the cost of the projects. I'm giving you the cash flow per year for each of the projects, the weighted average cost of capital for the company, the life of the projects. I've calculated the net present value for you, and the internal rate of return. Now, you can see there's a conflicting signal here. If you base your decision on net present value, you'll go with project B. If you base your decision on internal rate of return, you go with project A. And that's the conflicting signals. Now, I told you that there are two things that can lead to conflicting signals. One's called a timing effect. Now, a timing effect has to do with the timing of the receipt of the inflows. Sometimes inflows or you don't get anything for a long time, and then you get a bunch of cash flow out in the future. That could lead to a timing effect. A scale effect has to do with the size of the initial investment. So as you look at these two projects now, there's not a timing problem because they're both paying you every year for 15 years. So the timing effect is not a problem. What is a problem, what looks to be a problem in this case, is the scale effect. Project B costs $95,000. Project A only costs $12,000. Well, that's a scale effect. And what's happened is that's led to these conflicting signals here. Now, in the next videos now, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of show you the end of the problem first. In other words, here's where we get to, here's how we make a decision on which technique to use, and then I'll show you how to calculate the things you need to know to make the decision actually. But for right now, what I want you to know is that conflicting signals can occur, the reasons for conflicting signals, timing effects, and scale effects. And in this particular problem that I've made up for you, you can see that we have scale effects. Project B simply costs a lot more than Project A. So in the next videos now, I'm going to show you how we go about putting the pieces together, the analysis together to decide which one of these techniques should we use.